Portland counselors fly to Vienna, Austria, on the taxpayer's dime, of course, to study social housing. This is almost as good as when they flew off to Portugal to study, what were they studying? Drug addiction? Can't even remember. What's going on with Portland's politicians? Let's get into it. Here we go. Here's a great piece from Bara Blessed, KGW down in Portland. This is pretty funny. I mean, this is some wacky stuff. And when Blair asks some of these questions, I can't believe she keeps a straight face, but let's go with it. Here we go.
Well, some Portland city councilors are heading to Vienna, Austria this week for a work trip on taxpayers' dime. The trip is to study social housing. 60% of Vienna's population lives in social housing. That's housing owned and operated by government or nonprofits rather than developers and property managers, and where rents are set at an affordable rate. Well, today, I sat down with Councilor Candace Avalos, one of the councilors going on this trip.
So we're not planning the trip. We are joining with a bunch of other civic leaders who want to learn more about Vienna's social housing program. They are known worldwide for their social housing. This is an opportunity for us to see it in person and really experience the things that, are hard. When you read it on paper, it's one thing. When you can see it and talk to the leaders and talk to the people that, the residents that are experiencing it, to just better understand how they implement it as local government.
Councilors Jamie Dunphy and Mitch Green are joining her, along with their chiefs of staff and 3 people from the Portland Housing Bureau. There are also non-city employees going on the trip. In total, Councilor Avalos tells me about 20 people are flying to Vienna this week. Now, what you might be thinking, because you told us, we've received several emails recently asking why councilors need to go so far away to study affordable housing solutions. Now, as for how much taxpayer dollars this is going to cost, Councilor Avalos did not know off the top of her head, and a spokesperson for her office said they can't speak to questions about the cost.
You said it yourself, Vienna is very different than Portland. Why go somewhere so far away that's so different to try and learn strategies to bring back home?
Yeah. I always joke about this, and I've actually talked to a lot of leaders about this, that sometimes we just get really stuck in our ways because we don't open our minds to other opportunities.
A lot of people don't see this as a good use.
We don't open our minds to other opportunities. This isn't exactly an opportunity. This is a wildly different way of providing housing that Portland, Oregon doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell of implementing. Ever. But hey, let's go to Portugal. Let's go to Vienna. Let's just jet off and hey, we'll get a little vacation in and learn something about social housing. Okay. All right.
Money. What do you have to say to that?
I disagree. I mean, at the end of the day,
I missed that question.
I disagree. Opportunities.
A lot of people don't see this as a good use of money. What do you have to say to that?
I disagree. I mean, at the end of the day, we have budgets and we have...
Of course you do. You're going on the effing trip.
Discretion over them, and I use my budget as a way to enhance my work. I see this as doing exactly that. I'm not going on vacation. I'm going on a study trip to learn about a policy area that I think is important to Portlanders. So I understand how that might feel and look for people. I stand by my justification that this is an opportunity for us to expand what we know and make sure to apply good best practices in Portland. And
expand what you know. What do you know? Portland is a dumpster fire for all things homelessness, drug abuse, addiction, mental abuse, mental problems, office vacancy. I mean, just the list goes on, but homelessness strewn throughout your streets. The list just goes on and on and on. So whatever you might know isn't getting implemented. I guess going to Vienna, Austria that's what we're doing. That's the spin. The spin on this it's impressive. It's like, no, it's not what you think. No, it is what we think, and it's not going to work. Because how did the whole addiction thing work out after they went to Portugal? How'd that work out? Yeah. No.
That costs money sometimes.
Now, this trip comes after Councillors Avalos, Green, and Dunphy presented a resolution back in March to study bringing social housing to Portland. That resolution passed unanimously in April, and it directs the city administrator to deliver a report on social housing by May of next year. Right now, most housing in Portland is dependent on private developers. Because of that, and the rising cost to build, the price of rent fluctuates with the market. Councillor Avalos believes social housing could keep housing in Portland affordable.
This is, the number one thing we talk about is the lack of affordability and the fact that we're seeing that in our unsheltered homeless population. So it feels urgent.
The councillors and other city staffers leave for Vienna Friday, and they will be gone for about a week. Important to note, though, this is not the first time someone from the city of Portland has gone to Vienna.
This is good. This is good.
To study social housing. The director of the Portland Housing Bureau already spent 2 years in Vienna for this exact reason. But apparently 2 years was not enough time to gather that information. When the councillors return, they're going to a local housing conference where they will talk about what they learned. They're also going to create a report based on what they learned.
It's
so great.
We're going to be learning, hearing from a bunch of different presenters all day, going to visit some sites, but a lot of it is going to be them bringing leaders to us to teach us these different concepts.
Okay, now we want to hear from you. Do you agree with this work trip to Vienna?
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. You literally are not able to make up this silliness, right? Social housing, that's kind of all you need to know, right? Social housing, socialism. This is the socialism creep from the left. And why wouldn't Portland, Oregon? Oh, yeah, let's go to Vienna. Let's go to Vienna. We'll learn something. Okay. Yeah. How about you just work on what you got going on in your backyard already, trying to get that in a little bit better direction? But no, you're going to jet off to Vienna. Perfect. Social housing, I'm going to skip the first sentence because we already know all about that. Social housing or public housing is housing owned and operated, and we've heard this, by governments or nonprofits rather than developers and property managers, and where rents are set at an affordable rate. 60% of Vienna's population lives in social housing. It is a wildly different country, economic setup, capitalism here in the U.S., land development, land cost, production of housing, wildly different in Vienna, Austria, than Portland, Oregon. You are never going to get affordable housing in Portland, Oregon. It's done. You have already tanked your ability to create affordable housing. You've got high land costs because you've got a limited supply. You have shrunk the ability through endless processes and endless protocol and endless, let's restrict this, let's restrict that, let's restrict this. You've already done that. And so your land costs alone, your land costs alone prohibit affordable housing. So right off the bat, before you even get going, and you don't have the ability for the government to step in, because when Portland's government steps in on anything, it just goes straight to hell, right? It just goes straight to hell because you got a bunch of Democrats who don't know what they're doing, who, they rule their roost based on ideology versus going out on the streets and looking and going, what can we do here today to make this better? What can we do here today to make this better? Let's go to Vienna. Oh, geniusness. We're not planning the trip. We're joining a bunch of other civic leaders who want to learn more about Vienna's social housing program. They are known worldwide for their social housing. It's an opportunity to experience the things. Hard when you read it on paper. Well, if you read it on paper, you would understand you have zero chance of implementing virtually anything that's going on in Vienna, Austria. Zero. And the reason I would say that, I'm a 35-year veteran, whatever I am, of real estate. And all the big blue, liberal, progressive cities have absolutely shot themselves in the foot with affordable housing because you've regulated the F out of real estate. You've regulated the F out of building. You've regulated everything. Oh, we want to tax this. We're going to tax that. We're going to take this affordable housing. Nobody wants to build affordable housing because it doesn't make sense. And governmental entities stepping in to do that, they can't get it done either. I mean, your cost per square foot in these big liberal cities is through the roof. It's astronomical. And that is why you have a population shift to Texas. That is why you have a population shift to Florida, where they can still build some of that, to other states where you don't have all this geographic and policy limitation on something as simple as housing. And yet these people that are just mentally challenged, they think, whoa, I'm going to go to wherever and learn about it and come back. Even if they were veterans of real estate, going to Vienna ain't going to do it. Ain't going to cut it. So what it comes down to is they're talking about learning a little something, but more importantly, they're getting a cool vacation to places that they've never been to. And who doesn't want to do that? But, Democrats are always, and progressives are always talking about transparency. Just be transparent. Hey, we want to take a nice trip on the taxpayer's dime. If we pick up a little bit of something on, social housing, how it's kind of engineered in a country that is wildly different than the United States, then we're going to, get a few pieces of knowledge that we may or may not apply to, try to apply, because Lord knows we haven't really applied anything other than, what's going on? That's how Portland has been led, right? That is how Portland's been led. There are also non-city employees going on the trip. Oh, that's comforting. Avalos said that she did not know off the top of her head how much in taxpayer dollars is going to go towards the trip. Is it $50K? 20 people? You're taking 20 people to Vienna. That's way north of $50K. Way north of $50K. Right? Airfare alone. Are we spending $100 and a quarter? I mean, Request for Information Act, you're going to find that out, right? We'll find that out. Is it $100 and a quarter? And you got food, you got moving people around, you've got all the tour things that you're going to do. That's got to go on the taxpayer dollar. But why go so far away to learn strategies to bring back home? Yeah. Oh, I just want to see it in person. Okay, so then you've seen it in person, then you're going to realize, oh yeah, simply this is outside the bounds of reality. You are comparing apples to oranges. You are sticking a square peg in a very, very small, tiny, round hole. Big old square peg. And just drilling that through a tiny, ain't going to work. It's not going to work. This is not going to work. And here's how I dare you. Here's how I dare you to tell me I'm wrong. I want us to go 2-3 years down the road and see if rents have come down in Portland, Oregon. See if rents have come down because, social housing, no, they're not going to. All of the components are ingrained in the system. The system has been cooked. Seattle, incredibly expensive housing. Seattle's one of the 8th world's most expensive cities to live in. And Portland isn't far down the road. It's expensive as well, right? Because you've regulated the heck out of these cities. We've got big populations in small areas, and then people run around with their thumb up their butt talking about, oh, can't we get affordable housing? Well, because you've made it unaffordable. Go look at the states where people are moving to. And that's what so much of this redistricting is about, right? Big blue states they've already done all of that. And now you've got populations moving because there's other areas in the country where they're more affordable. And more importantly, they're better run. You don't see folks from Texas or Florida or Idaho. You don't see their leadership going off to Portugal, going off to Vienna, do you? No, because they have systems at home that already work and they're consistently applying those. It's based on reality, not this notion of just absolute dreaming about some social experiment that maybe we could do in Portland if we get enough money, if we just had more funding, we'd have some affordable housing. We just need more affordable housing. Well, you're not going to get it. So work with what you got. How's that work? That's what I want to see implemented. Work with what you got. Tell me what the game plan is, and then I'll listen. Otherwise, this is just nonsense. It's literally just nonsense. As to people who don't see the trip as a good use of money, Avalos disagrees. Let's go over this, because we're just going to tear this to shreds. At the end of the day, we have budgets and we have discretion over them, and I use my budget as a way to enhance my work. Okay, you've told me absolutely nothing. Zero. Nada. Zippola. About the same chances as you have of implementing whatever Vienna's got going on in Portland, Oregon. I see this as doing exactly that. What? You're doing what? See, you're talking in circles, and you've said nothing. I'm not going on vacation. No, you are. You're going on vacation. I'm going on a study trip to learn about a policy area that I think is important to Portlanders. I understand how that might feel and look for people. Yeah, the optics are horrific. But you know what? The people in Portland are used to horrific optics, and they're just going to bend over and take it. Yeah. I stand by my justification that this is an opportunity for us to expand what we know, which is what? Exactly. What do you know about housing? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, and make sure to apply good best practices in Portland, and that costs money sometimes. Agreed, it does. But you don't have to fly to effing Vienna to make that happen. How about spending money wisely? That's where Democrats just go down these crazy train roads, and Republicans are like, no, that's not happening here. Not happening here. It's so ridiculous. In Portland, here we go. Most housing is dependent on private developers because we live in a system of capitalism and private ownership of real estate. The state doesn't own it, typically. You don't have a ton of that. Most of the builders here in Seattle, when given the option of dumping money into a fund, an affordable housing fund, or building affordable units, they will dump all day into that fund because it makes no sense in today's world to build affordable housing because it doesn't pencil. It's a non-penciling entity. So the government's got to absolutely subsidize the heck out of it. Super expensive, more expensive than if you had the private sector do it. But we just need more, we need more affordable housing for all of our whacked out drug addicts and mental health care patients and combinations of the two of those. Because, we're running out of space in our prison system in a lot of these cases, except for California, where they're just dumping people out on the streets, just dumping criminals out on the streets. And the fact that we're seeing that in our unsheltered homeless population, so it feels urgent. Okay? Yeah, you are. Lack of affordability. But that's not why they're coming to Portland to be homeless. They're coming to Portland to become homeless because you have built the homeless industrial complex that you have. And they love it. The whacked out homeless nut jobs, they love it. Love it. Love it. They're taken care of in Portland, Oregon. They're taken care of in Seattle, Washington. They're taken care of in Los Angeles. Not as much. They're taken care of in San Francisco. Yeah, you got some outreach. You got some, poor people. Counselors and other city staffers leave soon for Vienna and will be gone for about a week. It's like class, Avalos said. We're going to be hearing from a bunch of different presenters. Well, I don't know if you know this, but when you travel to a different part of the world, oftentimes there aren't correlations that you can make between the two because fundamentally they are wildly, wildly different economic entities. And that's the big difference you've got going on between Portland and Vienna. Austria, between Portugal and Portland, Oregon. But you know what? I say, hey, Portlanders, you voted these people in. You get what you pay for. Let's see what happens from this trip. Let's see what happens to rents over the next year, 18 months, 2 years. Guaranteed, rents go through the roof. rents continue to go through the roof because you don't have enough supply. And how many million people did you bring into the United States over the last 4 years under the Biden administration that are all competing for that same entry-level housing that your whacked out drug addicts, your dudes just getting out of prison, your homeless folks that are absolutely mentally incapable of doing anything other than drugs and pooping and peeing in your sidewalks? You got to have space for all those folks, and you don't. So a lot of those situations, you aren't changing at all. But hey, let's go take a trip to Vienna. What could go wrong? Yeah. Anywho, podcasts for days, weeks. This is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. If you know a tiny little bit about real estate, this is some mind-blowing stuff that we're being told going to Vienna is a good idea. All right. My rant is done. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and check out my other video on Portugal. Portugal. Hey, we're from Portland. We'd like to go to Portugal. All right. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.